Today, we're going to dig into an AI tool that tackles one of the biggest and honestly most overlooked leaks in any sales funnel, that very first phone call. Now, this isn't about replacing salespeople, it's about making them way more effective. We're talking about David, an AI sales intake agent that's built to turn that critical first contact from a point of friction into a real strategic advantage.
I mean, really think about it for a second. You spend a ton of money on marketing, all designed to do one thing, make the phone ring. But what actually happens in that first minute? Is it a smooth, professional process that respects that investment? Or is it just chaos? That single question is pretty much the entire reason a tool like David even exists.
And this slide really lays out the two different worlds we're talking about. Over on the left, you've got the reality for so many businesses. It's just a mess of spam calls, great prospects getting lost in voicemail, notes being scribbled on a napkin, and opportunities that just, poof, vanish. But on the right, that's the goal. A structured, methodical process that filters, captures, routes, and qualifies every single lead right from the get-go.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start by digging into that inbound call problem. Then, we'll meet David and see exactly how it works. After that, we'll get into the real business value, why your prospects will actually love it too, and what this all means for using AI in your real-world operations.
Okay, so let's tackle that core challenge head-on. That first minute when a potential customer calls is so often a complete free-for-all. The whole idea here is to figure out how to turn all of that incoming noise into a clean, clear signal that your sales team can actually act on.
And here's where it really hurts, the hidden costs. Every single one of these points just drains your team's most valuable asset, their time. You've got spam calls interrupting deep work. You have inconsistent data because everyone takes notes differently. And you have salespeople trying to follow up with basically zero context. Worst of all, your best leads, the ones you paid a fortune for, are drowning in the exact same noise as the tire kickers. It's a really expensive failure hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so how do you fix this mess? Well, let's meet David. And just to be clear, this is not just another fancy answering machine. You should think of it as a commercial intake layer for your business. It's less like a bot and more like an air traffic controller for your entire inbound pipeline.
So what does David actually do?
Well, it handles three really critical jobs. First, it answers the phone instantly, 24/7. Second, it has a smart, structured conversation to qualify why the person is calling. And third, and honestly, this is the game changer, it checks your team's live calendar and helps book a callback right then and there, while the lead is still hot.
And get this, the whole thing happens incredibly fast. On average, we're talking about just 90 seconds. In a minute and a half, David can capture contact info, understand the project scope, and qualify their intent, all before a human on your team even has to lift a finger. It takes what is often a multi-day game of phone tag and turns it into a clean, 90-second transaction.
This is exactly why we call David a commercial intake layer and not just a voice bot. That term really sells it short. This is a strategic tool. It's your automated first line of defense, designed to filter and structure information before it ever consumes your sales team's attention. So when a human finally gets involved, they're walking into a warm, qualified conversation.
And I really want to double-click on this point because it's so important. David is an assistant, not a replacement. Its job is to handle the repetitive, top-of-funnel work of intake and filtering. This frees up your human experts to do what they're actually great at, building relationships and closing deals with well-qualified people who are ready to talk business.
Okay, so that's the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. What does this actually look like step by step, from the moment that phone rings to a meeting getting booked?
The whole process is just clean and logical. A prospect calls, and boom, David picks up instantly. It has that quick intake chat to get the essential context. Then, based on those answers, it filters the intent. Is this a hot lead or a cold call? For the good ones, it checks your sales calendars in real time, finds a spot, and aligns on a callback time right there on the call. Finally, all of that perfectly structured data gets routed to the right person for a seamless handoff.
And this diagram really pulls it all together. You can see the whole flow here. It starts with answering the call, moves through filtering and checking availability, and it ends with a perfect handoff to your team, often with a meeting already on the calendar. This is what it looks like when you apply AI directly to your revenue operations. You turn a messy, unpredictable process into a smooth, repeatable machine.
So we've seen how it works, but what's the bottom line? What's the actual commercial impact for the business? Well, it all comes down to two things: getting more signal from your inbound calls and creating a whole lot less friction in your sales process. This slide pretty much sums up the core value. David protects your sales team's time, it dramatically speeds up the path to a real meeting, it improves lead quality with structured data, and honestly, it just makes your entire operation feel more buttoned up and professional. It's an assistant that goes right after the biggest points of friction.
Let's start with protecting time, because this might just be the biggest win. David acts as a gatekeeper. It shields your sales reps from that constant barrage of spam and low-fit calls. I mean, imagine giving your best closers back an extra 5 hours a week. What could they do at that time? It lets them focus their energy where it actually counts, on strong, pre-qualified opportunities, without wasting time on manual data entry.
And then there's speed. Being able to check calendars and book the next step during the first call is a total game changer. You're capturing that commitment right when their interest is at its absolute peak. You know that endless email tag you play just to schedule a meeting? Yeah, this completely eliminates it. It just collapses the sales cycle and stops good leads from going cold.
But you know, this isn't just about making things better for your internal team. A smooth process on your end creates a much better, way more professional experience for the person who matters most, your potential customer.
Think about it from their perspective. First off, someone actually answers their call instantly. They get to explain what they need without sitting on hold. They can lock in a specific time for a callback so there's no uncertainty. And when a person from your team finally calls them, that person is already fully briefed. It feels modern and organized, and it builds trust from that very first interaction.
So let's bring it all home. What David really represents is practical AI. It's about moving beyond all the hype and applying this technology directly to a core business process that, frankly, is broken at a lot of companies.
Look, this isn't tech for tech's sake. Every feature is tied directly to a business outcome. The voice AI is there to have that structured conversation. The automation is there to handle the filtering and routing. The availability-aware system is there to schedule the callback. And it's all designed to feed a clean, CRM-ready handoff to your team. It's a complete tool that uses smart tech to solve a real-world problem.
And in the end, it all boils down to this. Smarter first contact leads to a faster path to sales. Davis is about turning that chaotic first minute from a liability into one of your biggest strengths. It makes sure your most expensive resource, your sales team, is only spending their time on the opportunities that truly matter. So the final question is pretty simple. How many more valuable leads are you willing to let slip through the cracks before you fix your front door?